for another episode of Talk Smart with
Pugh
and McCart. That's Joe Pugh. I'm Andrew McCart, episode 23. Joe, I am absolutely shattered, mate. Like I said to you before we pushed record there, I don't know why I picked that flight. I picked a 6:25 flight, meaning I was getting picked up at 4:15. I didn't get back to the hotel till 2, so I've had absolutely no sleep after the Katie Taylor Chantelle Cameron fight last night. But that's what we do it for. That's the career path we chose, Joe.
Mate, I'd rather be shattered and have been at Taylor Cameron 2 after that fight than not shattered and not been there, mate. So I say count yourself lucky.
Listen, what is wise words on a young head? I'll give you that, young man. Yeah, let's talk about it then. Let's talk about it. Katie Taylor got revenge over Chantelle Cameron. Wow, what? Listen, I don't know if you could feel the atmosphere from your TV screen, Joe, but the atmosphere in there was, I'm going to say it was probably the best ever I've ever been to. I can't think of an atmosphere better than that. Maybe a Canelo when he fought Billy Joe at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium was unreal, but just that cauldron of that 3 arena, it is just something spectacular, and it was just, wow. I don't know if you could feel the atmosphere through your television screen, could you?
Yeah, definitely. I felt it was a bit of a different atmosphere. I don't know, you'll know because you was at both, I think. It was a different atmosphere than the first one. It was a bit more raucous, I think. The first one was more of about pride, I think, that Katie Taylor was returning. But this one really had a bit of meaning behind it. Really was a ferocious atmosphere to get behind Katie Taylor and make sure, if anything, that little extra support gets her over the line.
And I think that's what it did, to be honest, because when they were shouting Katie and ole, ole, that's when Katie opened up and landed her flurries of punches. And I think that's what spurred her on in that fight. But I tell you what, them two girls, Chantelle and Katie Taylor, man, they deserve everything. They are phenomenal fighters for putting on a show like that. I mean, Chantelle Cameron is just cool, calm, and collected. She was getting booed coming into the ring. She's got back into the Lions Den again for the second time, facing somebody like Katie Taylor, who's an absolute superstar in Ireland. Like, I don't know what's the equivalent in England, man. David Beckham, maybe, when David Beckham was in his prime, something like that. That's probably how high Katie Taylor is in superstardom in Ireland. And Chantelle Cameron went there, came up short. I think Eddie Hearn and a lot of the boxing heads around the ringside said that the right person won, but we didn't see the replay of the knockdown in the first round, because when that happened, we all thought that the feet got tangled up because the referee waved it off. So we thought, the feet got tangled, and that's what happened. But I think looking back on Twitter and Instagram, it looked like a knockdown, I think. What did you think, Joe?
Yeah, I thought it was a knockdown. I did think it was a knockdown. It's interesting that you said a lot of the boxing heads thought that Katie just nicked it, went the right way. Because, as I say, I weren't scoring it round by round, but after the fight, I thought Chantelle had maybe just done enough, if I'm being completely honest. But it certainly weren't a robbery by any means from my point of view. I think it was a very, very close fight and could have gone either way. But yeah. I did think that was a knockdown very early on in the fight, and if it had been counted as a knockdown, the fight would have gone very differently, mate.
Well, that's again. It could have went. It can go, like you said to you. That 95-95 judge that scored at a draw. If that had went to Chantelle, the knockdown, maybe she would have won. That judge would have swayed it towards Chantelle. But on the flip side of that, if that was counted as a knockdown, would that have upped Katie's game? Would that have made her more aggressive? Would that have, because she was trailing a 10-8 round in the first round? So you can look at it two ways. It could have either helped Chantelle or maybe even helped Katie Taylor. That's why boxing is one of them sports. It's always a what if, and everyone's got different opinions, and it's subjective, isn't it? With the boxing, that's why we love it, Joe. But listen, take nothing away from Katie Taylor, absolute superstar, and it sets up that trilogy at Croke Park. 80,000. I can't imagine if that's what 9,000 Irish are like. I can only imagine what 80,000 Irish are like, Joe. And listen, if I'm doing it again, I'll listen, get a ticket, because you don't want to miss this atmosphere, Joe. You need to experience this. Everyone needs to experience this atmosphere when Katie Taylor has a fight. And like I said, she needs a dance partner if they do get Croke Park. And I think Chantelle Cameron, the trilogy, is the perfect one. You've got Amanda Serrano there, but I just think Chantelle Cameron deserves it. She deserves the trilogy.
100%. And look, Serrano fight, great fight. Both Cameron fights, unbelievable. It's so great that Katie Taylor is not just the star, not just probably the pound for pound number 1 or 2, however you look at it with Claressa Shields, but she always brings such excitement to fights, and they're great. I can't remember the last Katie Taylor fight, which weren't a great scrap. So it adds every kind of side of entertainment, and Katie Taylor is an entity. She so deserves that Croke Park, and please God, that can happen next year. As I say, hopefully trilogy, but I think the atmosphere will be undeniable, whoever she's fighting.
I agree. And I think that when it comes to women's boxing, I don't think that they've had a trilogy like this. I mean, in men's boxing, I can name maybe 4 off the bat. We've had Ali Frazier, Gatti Ward, Morales Barrera, and Wilder Fury more recently. There's probably more that I've forgotten. And maybe you can give me one, Joe, if you on the top of your head, if you can think of one. But they're the 4 main ones that always come to my mind when I think of boxing trilogies. And I think that if Chantelle does get her opportunity to face Katie again in a 3rd fight in the rubber match at Croke Park, I think that trilogy will stand up there with them. I think it's a good enough trilogy to say that's one of the best trilogies in boxing with the way these girls fight, because they throw 100 punches around. They're busy with it, and obviously the head clash, the cuts, is blood, and I think that's what we tune into boxing for, is to see these what's the word I'm looking for? To see these cuts and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Going through adversity. That's what I'm looking for. The word adversity. We want to see fighters go through adversity and see how they deal with it. And Chantelle Cameron done the cut. She listen, that cut happened in the 3rd round, I think it was, and she fought on like it wasn't there. So she's tough. She's very, very tough, Chantelle. And I think the trilogy, Croke Park, Joe, get a ticket. Or I'll get a ticket. I can be a fan this time. You can come and work it. I don't mind. I'm either way, I'm going to be there.
100%. And if you'd have gone into a bookies 5 years ago and wanted to put a bet on that a female would be headlining a stadium sellout, 70, 80,000, I'm not quite sure how many Croke Park holds, you'd get very, very good odds. So it just shows how far women's boxing has come, and you needed that figurehead to kind of push that, be the face of female boxing. And Katie Taylor, you couldn't think of anyone better to take that role than her.
Definitely not. But listen, that wasn't the only big fight. I managed to watch a little bit of it, the majority of it today, and was the Benavidez and Andrade fight. Did you catch up with that one, Joe?
I've seen highlights, mate. I haven't watched it all yet.
Oh, Benavidez is just a monster, man. He's just a monster. He's just an absolute beast at 168. And like, he called out Canelo again last night, and I don't think Canelo's at the stage of his career now. It's like, I don't need that. I don't need Benavidez, but Canelo's a fighter, man. And I think that's the fight we all want to see. But right now in this, I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it will happen. And I would love to see it happen. Don't get me wrong. Because the way Benavidez approaches the game, even when Andrade was having his successes, you seen Benavidez just bounce off of him. He's just like, come on. He just kept on coming forward, and he's just got that scary style where if you don't put a dent on him, he's just going to keep on coming. But the fair play to Andrade, it wasn't his weight class. I think it was his first time he stepped up to 168, or his second time at 168. And he gave a good go. He was trading with him. He was trying to land big shots, and it was a good fight. It was a very, very good fight. But Benavidez, wow.
Look, I thought Andrade would be the type of opponent to cause Benavidez problems, but as you say, I know he isn't really a natural super middleweight, but he just looked like a giant in there, David Benavidez. He looked like a beast, as you put it so correctly. I thought every time kind of, I don't have doubts, but I just want to see, like, show me something, David. Show me something different. He does, and he delivers every single time, David Benavidez. So I really, really hope we do get the Canelo fight next year. Do I think it happens? Probably not. I'm going to be completely honest. But yeah, he is or will be the face of the super middleweight division for quite a while, and hopefully, if Canelo don't fight him, free up some of them belts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he can start unifying because he will, and I think he'll move up to the light heavyweight division as well at some point, and he'll be a force to reckon with up there because he's massive for the weight, as you say, he's a giant.
Maybe that's what, if he doesn't get Canelo, I think that's probably what he'll do. I think he'll go up there because when you've got, I don't know how long Better BF will hang about. We don't know what's going to happen in the Cam Smith fight because I think Cam Smith is probably going to be, no, he will be Better BF's toughest test come January. Cam Smith's there, Bivol's there. Do you know what I mean? We've got our light heavyweights here in the UK, and Buatsi and Yard, Dan Aziz. You know what I mean? I've probably forgot a couple there as well, but we've got some very, very solid light heavyweights here in the UK alone. So, yeah, I just think that with Canelo, we're seeing the fights being made now. And I think we spoke about this, that last week was boxing waited 14 years for Frank and Hearn to get together. They're together now. We've waited 5-6 years for Joshua Wilder. We're almost there. We've waited, 3 years for 24 years for undisputed heavyweight title. Why? How is it all happening? What's the catalyst behind all that?
Money and Saudi, but
yeah, Saudi money. You're right, money. But Saudi Arabia, and Riyadh season, and His Excellency Turki Ali Sheikh, they're behind it all. And if we demand it as boxing fans, and it's the fight that we want to see, Canelo and Benavidez, do you think that they can pull it off? Do you think they can get that made? We need to wait and see.
Yeah, I think if Saudi starts sniffing about, it's extremely hard to say no, especially when Canelo is in the twilight of his career. He's not going to be around forever. And he wants, let's be real, he wants the paydays. He wants the biggest fights for the biggest money at this stage of his career. And I don't know if this is kind of the same. It's just come into my head. I was a bit too young for this, but it kind of strikes me as a little bit of a Froch Calzaghe. Froch just kind of like slightly under him, and kind of Calzaghe, did he really need to fight Carl Froch? It strikes me as a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, that's yeah. I would agree there. That's a great analogy. That's a great thought process there, Joe. Because I 100% agree with you there. But listen, Canelo's got to be looking at it that I can stereotype two Mexican fighters, because when you get two Mexican fighters fighting each other, we're going to get a war. We're going to get drama, knockdowns, blood, guts, and glory. We're going to get it all because they don't want to lose when that Mexican pride's at stake. And I think with Benavidez and Canelo, I think that's just going to be a mega fight. But Benavidez, Canelo's my size. He's 5'8", 5'9". He's not a big man. I don't know why he's up at super middleweight. I'm pretty sure if he really wanted to, he could get down to welterweight. You know what I mean? He just chooses to be up there. But listen, Benavidez, although he was maybe 21 at the time or 20 years old, he had problems with a fighter called Ronald Garville 6 years ago. And I think Garville even put him down in the 11th or 12th round in the first fight, albeit that Benavidez was young. He was a young guy coming through, but there is, you can hurt him, you can put him down. Do you know what I mean? It's been proven before, but now he's 26. He's got that man strength now, so he's a proper scary animal now.
Yeah, and I love that when you got, just as you put it, scary animal, but it's just like such a force to be reckoned with. Kind of like Beterbiev, what he does to fighters as he just walks them down. Like Jay Opataya, he comes to mind. When you've got such forces of nature in a division, it just comes with so much excitement, and you kind of look around the rest of the division and kind of think it's going to be a tough night for you, a very, very, very tough night for you. And I love that when there's a fighter in a certain weight division that's like that.
And I like you said, he's an animal, and I'm a super fan. I like those type of fighters. I like the Jai Apatayas. I can't wait to go and see him. I like them type of. I'll take one to land two sort of fighters. Do you know what I mean? I like those fighters. But I do want to quickly touch on this, Joe, before we wrap this up, mate. When we spoke last week about the Joshua Wilder and obviously the Wilder and Parker fight, I was like, Joshua's won, Wilder's won. But this past week, I saw Parker and Andy Lee over in Ireland, and I was talking to them. And listen, when Andy Lee speaks, like, he's got one of the best boxing minds on the planet. When he was talking to me, I was like, you know what? I'm not saying that Parker's going to beat Wilder, but I'm not saying it's as easy as what I thought it was, if that makes sense. I just think that the way Andy Lee was talking, that this is Parker's 4th fight this year. Do you know what I mean? He's got momentum. He's got 2 knockouts in those 3 fights as well. Wilder's had, what, half a round in 2 years? Do you know what I mean? The little variables that I didn't pick up on, but now I'm picking up on. And even when Lee was talking about staying away from his right hand and how to do that, and the telltale signs that Wilder does when he throws his jab, he's intelligent, Andy Lee. And like I said, I'm not saying Parker beats him. I'm just saying that it's not. I don't think it's going to be as easy as what I thought it was, or what it could have been, because obviously that big right hand, and if he lands that, we all know that not many heavyweights can withstand that. But Parker's ready. He looks ready. I'm telling you right now, he is excited, and he thinks that Wilder's made a mistake.
Yeah, and I don't think either of them fights are foregone conclusions, because, as you say, there are little variables. First of all, with Joseph Parker, Andy Lee, I don't think would have agreed to take that fight for Joseph Parker if he didn't think he could beat Deontay Wilder. Yes, we know that there's mega money being thrown about, but I think Andy Lee would have accepted that fight for Joseph Parker. They would have sat down and discussed it and think, can we win this fight? And if they genuinely believe it, then again, it will make for a cracking fight. And then you go to Otto Wallin, a tall, tricky southpaw, which could cause AJ problems. I think AJ's only fought 2 southpaws, Charles Martin, and that didn't last very long, and Alexander Usyk. I might be wrong, but yeah, they're the 2 that spring to mind. And for both of the fights, are AJ and Wilder looking at each other over their shoulders, and thinking, we get through these, and next year we have the big one. But there's 2 banana skins there, and they're very big banana skins, and they go by the names of Otto Wallin and Joseph Parker.
Exactly, and don't forget that Ben Davison is working with Joshua now. So that's another coach change with only, 5-6 weeks left to go until the 23rd. Is that enough time to gel with a fighter? We'll have to wait and see. So that is that variable as well, that it's been a short sort of gelling process for Ben Davison and Anthony Joshua. So that'll be interesting to see that partnership come December 23rd. But like I say, Joe, it's exciting times. I'm liking boxing. I'm not liking boxing. I'm loving boxing at the moment. It's I know you were at a show at the weekend as well. Were you not?
Yeah, Friday night, Frank Warren show at your call. Mark Chamberlain come through a really, really difficult fight against Ramlavs, who had never been stopped before. I think he had 2 losses on his record, one of them being Archie Sharp. And wow, you talk about needing that test. You talk about coming through adversity before the big fights. That is the test he needed. Come through some tricky rounds. He was probably winning the fight, but he come through some tricky rounds. He got cut early on, and then he stopped him in the last round. So really, really impressive from Mark Chamberlain. And it has to set up the Sam Noakes fight. Sam Noakes is fighting this weekend at the same venue, York Hall. A cracking card as Gavin Gwynn attempts to win the European title. And you've also got Moses Atelma, Royston Barney-Smith. So a great card of prospects. But yeah, next year, for the British lightweight title, Mark Chamberlain versus Sam Noakes. Hopefully, Gavin Gwynn gets the European, frees up the British, vacant British, cracker of a domestic clash.
Yeah, definitely. And you know me, Joe, I love my domestic clashes for them British titles, man. I really, really do. Yeah, listen, we've got a good card to look forward to next week out in Belfast, as well as the couple other cards in Bolton and the one you're at the York Hall. But the one in Belfast is going to be an absolute cracker, and we're going to have so many fights to talk about. I think we're going to see barnstormer after barnstormer after barnstormer with McKenna and Crocker, Ajako, Williamson, Gill and Mike Conlon. But then you've also got Sam Maxwell and Sean McComb as well, which is going to be ex-gym mates together. They lived in a house together. They know each other inside out. They sparred hundreds of rounds. So that's going to be an interesting fight. I mean, listen, those 4 fights I've just mentioned are going to be absolute crackers, and we're going to have a lot to talk about. So I might have to pay for the extension on these Zoom calls for this podcast next week. But listen, we'll make do. And Joe, I'm going to go for a little nap because, like I said to you, I've had about an hour and a half, 2 hours sleep. I'm glad that you look fresh because you got your hair slicked back. You're looking good. You got the Kronk hoodie on. Yeah, listen, I'm proud of you, young man. You're looking good. You made me look like shite again this week.
Nah, it's all good, mate. I only come out the shower. Just come out the shower. So, yeah. Whilst you was jet setting, coming back from a great fight, I was just sitting down watching the F1. But, yeah. Verstappen wins again. Shock. Yeah.
Shock,
brilliant.
Joe, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, brother. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, see you next Sunday, mate.
Next Sunday, my man. See you later.
Cheers.